Hey guys, how's it going? Matt from Foulball Productions here. Thank you so much for joining me today. Hope that you're doing well because I'm doing phenomenally. Thank you very much. This is the 108th episode of the MFR Podcast, and I thank you very much for joining me today. And we have a special one for you. If you've been watching the channel for the past couple months, I've been having a bunch of guests and talking to some really interesting guys, having some really interesting conversations, and I got two of them with me today. So please welcome back to the show, Tom Foe and Right Wing Coalition.
Hey, what's up, guys?
What's going on?
How's it going? And you may notice that Right Wing Coalition is now Joey. He's now public. The mask is off. The anonymity is dead. How's that feel?
Feels nice. Yeah, I mean, it's still a little bit early, so the real repercussions, ramifications haven't set in entirely yet, especially since the book isn't out yet, which honestly, like, I really haven't said too much nasty stuff on YouTube, or at least nasty is probably not the right word, but you know what I'm saying, like objectionable. But that's definitely going to change here very soon.
Well, I was wondering, because I know that you were really concerned about basically kind of changing your entire life. Have you had any blowback yet?
I've had a little bit, but there are some things that I kind of don't want to make public necessarily, but I will say that I'm positioned to endure the blow, at least what I imagine the blowback will be. If it goes beyond what like your typical perception of what it would be, then I might be in trouble. But as of right now, it should be okay. Just mostly burning some bridges with some people, but that's about it.
Okay, well that's good. Yeah, that's good. And also, Tom, welcome back, brother. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I see someone's trying to get me to turn on my camera, but it's like, dude, this is me. I'm the chicken, all right?
I'm the chicken.
From the surf's up, bro.
Do you have any plans, Tom, to ever break your anonymity, or are you going to maintain it?
I think I've talked about this with Joey before, actually. I mean, yeah, like in the future. To be quite honest, like I'm more worried about getting doxxed just because of like certain things. But yeah, like in the future, I do plan on doing that.
Yeah, Central Delta says no face, no case. Yeah, I agree. I also think there's something kind of empowering about being anonymous. There's something about not seeing the person's face when they're talking about certain issues. It does kind of, I don't know, for some reason it grants credibility. I don't know why. Some weird like psychological effect, but I feel like when I watch videos and it's just a disembodied voice, it just seems to have more authority.
Yeah, I get that. I kind of feel the same way.
I think in that regard, the reason you probably feel that way is because if you are anonymous, there's like zero incentive to hide your real opinion.
Yeah, that's true.
100%.
Right, completely unfiltered. Yeah.
If I was like just starting this with like a face cam, I would not be saying a lot of the shit that I've said. 100%. Especially as comfortable as I am now with talking, I probably would be, a little nervous. And so, yeah, just being anonymous, it is kind of like a weapon.
It is, man. It's funny. When I started doing YouTube, it never even occurred to me, just because most of the guys I was watching at the time did everything on camera for the most part. So it never really crossed my mind. But you do see, like, that's a pretty common style of doing YouTube, is just like, completely anonymous, disembodied voice. I think it's pretty powerful.
Well, I feel like there's a couple ways to go about it. And I think me and Tom probably took a somewhat identical route. I mean, I know I was very deliberate. I always wanted to lose my anonymity, but if you see guys, what's that dude? He's Vrillium.
Oh, Vrillium. Yeah, we were just talking about him.
Yeah, so I'm not a fan, but
those types, to hear that. Okay.
Those types of characters where they try and embody a persona, and then they become well known for being a character that recites something like like a news channel would. I think that it's certainly a way to go about it, but I think that when you do that, you immediately undergo that transformation into somebody who's, again, taking on a character. Whereas prior, during my anonymity, and I talked to Tom about this a little bit too, I was singularly known for or listened to because of my words. That's it.
Yeah.
Right? There was no accompanied, character, face, whatever. And I feel like that's a more honest start because it's independent of some of the externalities that may be a benefit to you, that you dress up, you know, if you're playing a character or something, rather than if you're, I mean, because my initial approach, I didn't want to do voiceovers. I didn't want to do videos at all. I just want to, you know, write articles, but I knew nobody would read them because nobody knew who I was. So that was the mechanism for it. And even now, dropping the mask, that's more because I'm just getting tired of living the double life. It's not because like I want to step into F-list fame or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, it is an interesting thing because it's like the fact that you start off completely anonymous and, you know, you guys just basically, I mean, like Tom does like game footage and you do kind of like stock footage.
Yeah.
Where, but basically what that forces the listener to do is only engage with the words. There's no distracting video elements. It's not about the editing. It's not about the graphics. It's literally just about the words. And I think that's what's built you guys such a powerful and loyal audience, because from both of your guys' appearance, I mean, those episodes still get viewed, and I got like a lot of new subscribers. Like y'all have some very loyal dudes like in your ranks, you know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, well, it's great also that's the case, but I think it's a more pure approach in terms of like, you know, if you do get known as being singularly a character rather than what you have to say, if you decide to kind of break with that, then you might literally lose all your fans. Yeah. And so, but then it's also obviously a double-edged sword too, because, you know, someone like myself, as soon as my quality drips or drops, then I can get discarded just as easily. So it puts, the pressure is going to be there no matter what. I would just rather have it be on my capacity to like put out more of not like content, but actual thought, you know, rather than like I'm putting on a show, right?
Yeah.
I'd rather have that. Now, the other people disagree with me and they do it differently. I'm not like knocking them for that, but that's definitely not how I feel.
The temptation is strong when with oh, sorry, Tom, if you had something to say.
No, go ahead.
I was just saying the temptation is strong on my end because I always have been on camera, so I feel like I have to put so much energy into the visual presentation because that's, you know, part of the brand. But it's like there's so many times where I wish I could just write my thoughts and just put them out there, because that's really what I want to get across anyway. So it's kind of like, I've kind of cornered myself here with this style of YouTube, but you know, it is what it is, man. What do you think about all that, Tom?
I mean, you can always experiment, but like I would agree 100% with like this style of, you're just kind of like talking. You're not focusing so much on making like a HBO level documentary for each video with all the editing. Cause I'll bring up like this like past story, like cause I've had different YouTube channels before where I've done like, you know, different types of things, never about politics, but I knew this one guy back during COVID who, he actually kind of blew up and he got pretty big on YouTube, and his videos were so overly edited, and he made like video essays. And dude, I would be on Discord with this guy and he would be spending tens of hours, like, you know, 20, 30 hours a week working on videos, just editing over and over. And eventually it's like he burns out.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to make a video essay, and you know what? All the people that like you're going to give an opinion that sucks, or it doesn't age well, or you're going to fuck up with something, or you just don't get views, and you spend all this time and effort into something, and, you know, it's going to ruin you, and it's going to kill your motivation, and you're going to burn out. And so I didn't want any of that with this. I was like, I just want to, like Joey said, I just want to give my thoughts. I just want to be 100% honest in myself. And whether I say something that's good or if I say something that's stupid, that's me. And I'm not going to overthink it. I'm just going to be just real. And that's,
I mean, well, your credibility is just in your words. And like, I think that's, you know, it's a great asset. Could I circle back though, Joe? Could I ask you, do you care to comment on why you don't like Vrillium? Not trying to stir up shit or like be gossipy. I'm just curious because most of these guys, you know, all of you are pretty new to me. This whole right wing Gen Z sphere, and I find a lot of it really fascinating. But I send video. This is my buddy Mike, Final Glance, and I send his Vrillium's videos to him, and he hates him. So I was curious what you think.
Well, I mean, kind of like you, I'm honestly new to that stuff too. Like I'm 27, so I'm involved in the younger generation, obviously, but like I've never had TikTok. Like I don't even have Instagram. I don't do that like Instagram real shit. So I was kind of insulated away from that sort of gimmicky short form stuff. So I hadn't even heard of these guys either until, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago when I really started getting into this. But I guess to succinctly explain without being, I guess, personal, is just the fact that I don't think they put anything out of actual merit. I think it's total like gossip tabloid type shit, and that it's pure drama and not actually like well thought out argument or like tangible critiques. It's just like feminine, really. It is. I mean, it just is.
There is a bit of that. I think you get caught up in the cycle of news and things to talk about when you're, in an internet space. I mean, that's just what you do. You have to just like pump out stuff, and I mean, you don't have to, but I mean, I think people fall into that trap of like, well, this is a hot topic, let's talk about it. And you're right, it is pretty gossipy. Like there was going around a whole bunch with the Sarah Stock thing and Elijah Schaffer. That was a hot topic for gossip for a while, which doesn't really interest me as much. But
I think you can, and I mean, me and Tom even talked about it. I think the critiques like that over the gossip stuff can be good, and they can actually they can manifest into something more important, because my critique of the Sarah Stock thing is no more fucking women in politics on the right wing.
Based.
And it's like, and that was the provable effect of it, which is like, it always leads to this gossipy nonsense. So to address it, you can address it in a way that's non-gossipy, but everything else, drumming up as if like something somebody said is all of a sudden the world stopped turning for a second and we all have to address it. It's like, it's just like so feminine coded, totally. And the other thing too that I've noticed, without naming other people, but I've noticed this especially with the kind of under 25 crowd on the right. They're really not producing anything. If they're popular and if they have some type of following, it's through Twitter, and it's through like literal memes, which memes are fine and memes are great actually, and they serve an important function, especially on the right. But when that's all you can produce, or even not you producing it, but you reposting somebody else's tweet because you thought it was funny, like we need more serious people than that. We just do. And I'm not saying that can't play some type of important role, but those can't be our guys, in the sense that like that's who Gen Z looks to as like the leaders of the right wing. It's fucking embarrassing.
Yeah, no,
it is.
I agree. And I think that's why, and I think I've said this before, but when it comes to Gen Z as a whole, and if you look at like all the influencers and all the people that have some type of momentum or movement, that's why like Nick Fuentes he's so popular and so many people like him, because he's really the only person, a part of that the generation that isn't like doing the average slop TikTok. Like, I hate TikTok. Like the fucking videos where it's somebody and there's like a green screen behind them and it's whatever bullshit, and they're just like, they all talk the same. You notice that they have like this like, it's just so annoying, and everybody does the same thing. And people, they'll get mad at you because you talk about how you listen to Nick or you like Nick, and then it's like, well, who else are these kids going to listen to? Who else are we going to watch? Who else do you have? Some dude on TikTok who's talking about whatever. It's like we do need more leaders, and we need more people who can express, thoughts that are actually worth something.
Well, the sad part about the right is it's such a clean avenue for, I know this gets said so many times, but it's so true. It's such a clean and accessible avenue for grifters. Like if you take a chick who's like a 5 or a 6 and you have her say that she's not in favor of abortion, 80,000 followers on Twitter overnight.
Immediate.
And it's so like, I get that it's enticing for these girls to do it firstly. And there is something that's like reactionary in us when we see that something that's juxtaposed in a way that we wouldn't otherwise expect, like a black conservative or like a woman against abortion or something like that. And it immediately like triggers our interest senses and we go to it, but we have to stop doing that.
Dude, you're 100% right. I think a lot of that, though, it was just a few years ago. I mean, we really have to take inventory of how much the conversation has changed in just a few years. I mean, because a few years ago, if you're putting out stuff like that and you're not like explicitly shielded by some kind of right-wing institution, you're getting crushed online. You can't really put out these sort of, I mean, you can, but it was rare and the backlash was strong, I think, on people. So every time there was a woman saying something that was like right wing, or like you say, a black conservative, everyone's like, see,
Yeah.
it's not sex, it's not race. These
Yeah,
are just
yeah,
ideas,
right. That's true.
Yeah, and they get lifted up like pretty fast. But I think we're really past that. And look, I don't want to generalize, but it does seem like a lot of, especially the females, are, if they're not grifters when they start, they kind of develop into it. Like, remember Pearl?
Yeah.
It's just the whole thing becomes a farce.
Well, and what I think is like so distasteful about it, and it actually sort of echoes my point about the other kind of short form right wing guys that I see, is there's no depth to it. It's not as if it just happens to be a girl that has amazing arguments. It's like she has the arguments that like any 22-year-old frat dude has, and is just as articulate. And like one of the ones that really bothers me is Eva Vlaardingerbroek, because she's Dutch.
Okay.
But I mean, she's beautiful.
Wasn't she on Tucker?
Yeah. She's beautiful, which is obviously the only reason that she has, any sway and any following. But I would respect it so much more if she could actually say something that was original, insightful. It's always just a regurgitation of like the main 5 talking points. It's usually like saying men shouldn't be in women's sports. Okay, are we really like having that discussion at this point?
Take.
Yeah. And then they just refuse to name the Jays also, and then you're like, okay, these people are just weak.
Yeah, that's like the furthest they'll take it. That's kind of like the new litmus test.
Oh, totally.
It's like you'll say Israel, but you won't talk about that. It's like, okay, we're better than you.
So anyway, we don't have to get totally off on a
no. I mean, look, we're gonna end up here anyway. But it's just, it is the reality, and I think it's something that I see all the time. Like I was watching Ryan Grimm. He was on Tim Dillon's show, I guess, over the weekend. Great. 2 of these guys from Drop Site were on Tim Dillon. Really good. Honestly, a really mature conversation. But I was watching more of Ryan Grimm because I wasn't familiar with him, and I was watching an interview he had with this girl, and she's talking about like her frustration with all these congressmen who are so pro-war, and talking about how like Chuck Schumer is like for the war, and I'm like, and why would he have an interest in this war? Like, why would he be? It's like, and they come so close.
Yeah,
they don't.
But at this point, it's not excusable anymore.
No, I agree.
Because if you're, I mean, that's the whole problem I think we're seeing right now is almost everybody. That's the issue with Tucker, right? Is like we know that he knows so much more than he's letting on. So that obviously implies inherently that he has some type of ulterior motive. Now, whether that is good faith or bad faith, that's really the question. But it's not up for debate whether or not there's something else going on behind the scenes. And that's when I look at these people that will refuse to name it. It's like, okay, I get not wanting the backlash. Fair enough. Then get out of the fucking arena. Because that's not
you can
all right.
Also, you can even still safely use Zionist, but it can also, you can talk about the American Zionist if you want. If you don't want to step on that landmine, I can understand that. But it's like,
I guess, but it's like it's such a half measure that I view, and this is not purity spiraling. This is what this is identifying that the root of the problem is at this point manifested. We know what it is. Yeah. And if you are taking action to try and make some sort of political change in whatever regard, and you know that the root of the problem of the ancillary problems you're identifying, you know what that is, and you're refusing to say it, well, you actually have a duty to say it. And if you will not, then you now have a duty to step aside because you're muddying the waters for people that could otherwise be significantly more effective. And so, I said this about Dan Bongino, and I remember it's like one of the first times I really got a substantial amount of hate on the video because I said, I don't care if his family is being threatened because not that I wouldn't have sympathy for that, but the point is that he knew the risks. He signed up for this. Not only did he sign up for it, but he willingly accepted all the spoils of his involvement, millions of dollars, becoming, a celebrity, all this stuff. But when it comes down to crunch time on, are you going to do something that makes a difference? You back off and everybody has your back and goes, oh, well, he was under a lot of pressure. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. You're supposed to be our warrior class, right? That are coming in and making a difference. And it's, again, extraordinarily feminine to be like, oh no, don't worry guys. When it's on the line, it's okay. He can step aside. It's like Simone Biles, quitting in the Olympics and everyone's like, oh, so brave, so awesome. It's like, no, it's actually not. So let's not pretend that it is.
Well, there's other ways he could have handled that too. I mean, resigning in protest is a political move that people pull.
Totally.
Yeah. I think that's completely.
I would have had way more respect for that.
Yeah. But he goes out and he's like, "We're here to stop the black pillars." That he's like still podcasting.
Get the anti-Semites out of the movement.
It's just insane.
That was actually the real crux of my critique too. Is like he could have at least said, "Guys, I got way over my skis on this. I didn't know the depth of it. I can't even say what's up, but what I can tell you is you really shouldn't be paying taxes anymore," or something like that, right? But instead he comes back, he's like, I'm the pod father, boys. It's just inexcusable.
Yeah. No, it's crazy. And like no new developments. And we're all sitting here looking at how nothing's changed. And you're acting like
it's gotten worse.
You're acting like you just took a victory, like you just did it. And now you're taking your victory lap. It's like nothing was accomplished. What are you talking about? I did want to ask you though, because you were talking about this on your last video. Do you think Tucker's running for president?
So I probably should have been a bit more careful with my words there. That's kind of my throwaway theory of, if he has good intentions, then okay, let's take it back a little bit. So if you look at this from Tucker's perspective, if he is good faith, and I would use that term to say he knows what's going on, he knows that the system in its current form probably cannot correct itself. Let's just assume those things are true, and let's assume he's not like CIA.
Right.
If that is the case, he must know that given the war with Iran, there's no way that the right, the mainstream right, will be able to do anything of substance to change the country. Well, J.D. Vance is a part of that.
Yeah.
He also would know, and even if he's trying to be classically humble as usual, that he's the only person that has the momentum behind him to effectively run a GOP civil war and take the America First faction to victory. He's the only person that could do that. I'm not happy that he's the only person that could do that. I'm not rooting for him necessarily, but he is, whether plant or not, the only person right now that could put up some type of fight against the Vance coalition on the right. It's just a fact.
So doesn't his son work for Vance?
He does.
Okay.
Again, I'm not saying that I know what his move is going to be.
Collecting details.
But so again, starting from him being good faith, if he knows that Vance is just going to be a continuation of this utter disgrace, I'd rather have Kamala at this point. Then he would, by his very nature, if he really wants to change things, would know that unfortunately it rests upon him to do something. And I think, if you look at this from so think about with Trump, right? Trump comes out and says Tucker's not MAGA, Tucker's lost his way.
Yeah.
Tucker knows that Trump, as of right now, despite whatever influence is being acted upon him, is an enemy to the America First wing of the right. And so if Tucker really is on the America First side, Donald Trump should be his enemy. And I'm using that just distinction lines, friend, enemy, right?
Yeah.
And so why would he then respond to Trump and say, like, I'll always like Trump no matter what he says about me? The only thing that I can think of is preserving the perspective of the current MAGA base. Because if Tucker comes out and he says, F Trump, this is a complete betrayal, well, the cat turd faction will never look in his direction again.
Right.
But if he tries to unify the relationship to some degree, then later on down the road, he can at least try and goad those people and say, look, whatever, Trump was captured. It's not, he could say this, I'm not endorsing it, but like, it's not even Trump's fault, but I'm trying to do what the original MAGA mission wanted to do 10 years ago. And it doesn't look so dichotomous anymore if he doesn't come out and say, F these people. Now, by that same token, I was watching Pete Quinones the other day, and he was saying, I watched it after I made a video, because I wrote that video in like one day and just put it out. But he was saying that, Tucker, from like just by nature of where it comes from, like the WASP stuff, he will cover critiques or insults in like general compliments. Okay, fair enough.
But
it's
so weird. Like,
he does it
on your videos so well. It's like, it's so odd.
He does it to too large of a degree to just ignore. Because it'd be one thing if I was like, every time I've interacted with him, he's been fine, but he's done all these terrible things. But Tucker doesn't do that. He's like, he's the worst person in the world. But I'm sure he loves his wife and is the best father in the world. It's like, well, you wouldn't even be able to draw that conclusion anyway by just a periphery understanding of somebody. Now, maybe he's just doing that to F with people. That's honestly entirely possible. The only thing that I can think of, and again, same thing with the Trump perspective, is that it's a attempt to harbor and maintain the potential for a retethering of a relationship down the line. Because from that context, you can give critiques, and then either if it's behind the scenes or, in front of the camera, you can go to someone and say, look, I really didn't like what you did back there, but I've always known that, deep down, you've been a good guy. And then you can corroborate that with, past statements that he's made. I don't see the tactical view or the tactical utility of acting like that, unless there's something that you're looking for down the road. Because the way I work and the way almost everybody works is like, if you're my enemy, I state you as my enemy, and I don't want anything to do with you, and I don't care what redeeming qualities you have. The line's been drawn, especially when we're dealing with things of this nature, where it's like literally getting the America first isolationist president, and anybody that wants to dispute that based off some of Trump's old tweets from 2013, go fucking kill yourself. Yeah. He obviously was an isolationist. And
what about no new wars did you not understand?
Yeah,
was there something vague in that?
Yeah. So anyway, the point is that just like from a logic standpoint, I don't see what other reason he would be doing that unless he has bigger plans in the future. And given he's at the height of right-wing commentary, what's bigger than that? Only thing is an office position. That's it.
That's
true. That's interesting. What do you think, Tom?
True. Well, I mean, honestly, that's a pretty good theory, because people already approached him back in 2023, 2024 to run for president, because a bunch of people in the GOP did not want Trump to get a second term. So they approached, I think a bunch of people at Fox News tried to get Tucker to run for president. So there's already the ideas in his head. There's already, he knows donors and people that are serious about these types of things are, they've already approached him, saying, hey, you could win this. So the idea is already there. And the way he does kind of play around is he is kind of setting himself up to be able to run. He's not burning all the bridges completely. Also, him being who he is, it's probably in his best interest personally, if he does want to run for president, to not just come out and state oh, it is the Jews or it is whatever.
Yeah.
It's
exactly.
in his best interest to play and toe the lines, because if you think about it, if he's running for president in 2028, and if he's already done that, or he does that as he's running, they could just take him out.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
So there is a level of like, we have to be discreet. That there would be whoever is going to run as a true American, America First candidate, they're going to have some level of discretion with how they do it.
Well, he's definitely being tactical, and that's another thing too. Is like, if you're well versed on this stuff, I could tell to a degree how much Tucker knew, like 2 years ago. Just little comments about, okay, I know where this road leads. I know you've been down it, and that's why I was saying it. And some people gave some pushback to that, but like, it's very obvious he knows significantly more than he's saying. But a lot of his fan base is the NPC boomer cons that like also watch Sean Hannity, so he can't come out and just drop Fuentes lines.
Right. But I also think it would fry people's brains. I feel like it would end up being counterproductive. It would end up getting more people polarized away from him than where they can kind of be not seduced necessarily, but like lured in by the accuracy and the objective accuracy, and then get to the conclusion themselves without having to,
and it usually takes people like a couple years to get to this conclusion, even from if you're speed running it. But what really gave me an even bigger insight was, I don't know if you guys follow his brother on Twitter, Buckley.
I don't know. Is that a good follow?
He's about as red pilled as it gets. Like he, and I don't mean like I mean red pilled on the Jays. Like he knows exactly what's going on. Like, and so my point is Tucker talks about how they're best friends. So he knows everything Buckley knows.
Right.
Yeah.
So my point is that, the Tucker still does. I don't think I've figured Tucker out by any means. In fact, the only thing, but I think the only real conclusion to my video is the fact that the only thing I can say is he has ulterior motives, but what they are, nobody knows, because he's not acting in a way that would immediately shed light on his main objectives. But, like, I don't think that he's dealt with people that would have been good allies necessarily well. And he's always backed Candace, which I find to be ridiculous. And he's backed Candace and Erica Kirk at the same time. I'm like, I'm sorry, at some point you actually do have to draw the line. And that's why I was saying as well, ironically, given that the proximity of both of them to Charlie, he does seem like he's trying to like raise from the dead the big tent conservatism that only Charlie Kirk was able to foster. He was the only person that, and I liked Charlie when I was younger, but obviously I moved past him fairly quickly. But regardless, what you could say about Charlie is he kept a very eclectic, diverse roster of political friends. He just did.
And what you're saying too with Tucker, right? It's like if he alienates Candace, he alienates her millions of fans.
Yeah.
Right. If you maintain that relationship, it's like you maintain credibility via her. So you don't have to win back any of those people or win that argument. You keep them on your side. So like the Big Ten argument, I think, really starts to add up.
Well, and also if you're running some type of Big Tent conservatism, what's the application of that? Political office, or you're a kingmaker. That's it. There's no other reason to do that, because if you're someone like me, like I want to draw the lines because I think that my style or faction of the right is the most correct.
Yeah.
I'm not just trying to consolidate mass appeal power. I could do that in a lot of different ways.
Yeah.
But that's not my intention at all. And so you look at someone that's behaving in a way that's opposed to that style, and there just has to be a reason beyond like he just wants everyone to get along. Don't think that's it.
No.
No,
and he does seem to be pretty right on the big issues, right? Like he's going hard against this Iran war right now.
Yeah,
and
totally.
He's doing it really well. Like he's doing great work. He's really stepping up to the moment to deliver these like fantastic monologues and episodes and be fiercely critical. And it sounds like he was literally the only person who petitioned Trump to trying to not do this war. So to put in that perspective, it's like, well, all right, this is a huge ally. Right. He's not shilling for the administration. He's not pretending that this is anything it isn't. He even went in hard about the third temple. He like really
Yeah. See, that's what I'm saying. He knows way more than he's letting on. He didn't just find out about the third temple a couple weeks ago. I promise.
Yeah.
And you can't dig into something like that and just be like, oh, everyone's just an individual. There's no such thing as like, you're just like, okay,
exactly.
you know. Yeah.
He's playing the field for sure.
Totally.
And
there's some type of long game. Yeah.
And he doesn't have like, he's not trying to burn bridges, but in a way, from certain decisions he's made, he has burned bridges before. Him leaving Fox, him interviewing Putin, him doing all these different things, especially interviewing Fuentes. So it's like he has to kind of maintain as much as he possibly can. And I mean, it is working for him. He still has a platform. He's still here. And I mean, if you think about it, if he does run, like who else is going to be able to go against him? It's like Vance at this point can't, because like the credibility of this administration is pretty much.
Well, they're still going to run Vance for sure.
Yeah, but like
effectiveness. Well, you do. I always underestimate the retardation of the broad kind of MAGA base. It really does seem to be that like. I don't know what percent of registered Republicans would identify as being on like the dissident right, but it seems like the dissident right is the only faction that has any type of true political instinct or insights. Like your standard normie conservative is totally useless in every regard. Their fundamental prior assumptions are completely wrong. They're usually far too weak in their convictions to actually uphold any sense of like order as in a moral sense in their lives. Like they're effectively useless, and but they will shepherd to whoever's perceived, because they're fundamentally hierarchical, as everybody on the right is. They will always shepherd toward whoever's the most either placed in the most prominent position or the leader of the right, which has been Trump to this point. So if you slide Tucker in, and if you kind of disentangle the nonsensical theology around dispensationalism, then you, I think, will probably sway those voters over. But I don't know. I don't know how it would play out, but they're definitely going to try and run Vance.
I mean, they'll run him for sure. But the problem they have isn't so much the MAGA base. Like the MAGA base at this point is like, you're right. Like they're so retarded, they're not going anywhere. But the problem,
though, I gotta be honest. Sorry to cut you off there, Tom. I see it in X a lot. I see it in the comments sections. You always have the cat turds and the idiots, but man, there's a lot of dissension amongst the ranks, and I gotta give at least some of these idiots credit for that.
Yeah,
I hope so.
But like, because you're gonna have more of that for sure. But also, one of the main reasons Trump was able to win is because a lot of people, they have this idea that like the 2024 election was this huge landslide. And in a way it was. But if you look at like actual numbers and a lot of the battleground states, they were pretty close a lot of the times. And a big reason why he won was because of independent voters, because they had RFK come in at the last second and kind of got his numbers. And then you also had certain Democrats that voted for them because of what was going on with Gaza and with Biden being in office. The DNC, they had one of the biggest protests of that year, and it was all these people protesting to free Palestine. And what was Trump and them saying? They were saying, hey, we're going to bring an end to the war and stop the bombing in Gaza. And I know that might not seem like a big reason, and I'm sure there were a lot of people that didn't vote for them for that, but there were some. Because I even knew people personally who were, who were socialists, and they voted for Trump because of that.
So, okay, that's interesting that you say that, because I don't have any experience of seeing somebody. I totally believe you, and I'm actually hopeful that it's true to a higher degree than I would expect. But that people would vote on principle, like something like Gaza, they would vote for Trump over that. Which, boy, they got played. But but I guess my next question is really, let's say there's a exchange of the elites on the right wing, and Tucker becomes the guy, or it's not Tucker, somebody else that's America first in some regard. Well, to even do that, this is like when Nick talks about we need an America first candidate in 2028. I don't see anybody. I don't think there's enough time for somebody to rise to that rank. I think the only way would be an exchange of someone like Tucker or some other very prominent person like a Trump in the same regard, where he's already built up his reputation, already displayed his competency, right? Because I just don't see some unknown, 42-year-old in 2026 by 2028 being the leader of the right wing. I don't care how based he is or America First. It's honestly probably a detriment to be additionally based in that regard, because you alienate a lot of the other voters. You're going to have an exchange. Let's say that happens. Let's say we get an exchange. Tucker becomes the guy. Does the left exhibit the same amount of hate and contempt that they put on Trump with someone like Tucker? I don't think so.
I don't think they do.
Yeah.
No, I've even seen like Joy Reid was like complimenting some of Tucker Carlson's coverage.
Yeah.
Like literally, because he's doing good work for like in the Middle East. He's not pulling any punches on it.
There does seem to be something specific with Trump. I mean, I know everyone talks about the TDS, so this isn't some type of unique observation by me, but it's so ingrained and it's so reflexive at this point that I think it dies with Trump. I think that type of mania. Now, that doesn't imply that like Antifa still doesn't want people even like Charlie dead, let alone, people like Nick. But at the same time, I think you have a better chance at swaying, assuming voting even fucking matters at all. Let's just say it does. I do think you have a better chance at swaying the mood of the country with someone like Tucker, who can probably actually go further than Trump can, but he's just more delicately communicating it and perhaps significantly more effective.
Look, I think all the logic, when you said that in your video, that clicked with what Fuentes has been saying about the 2028 guy coming up, crushing them in the midterms, and someone good coming out. And he even intonated that he had some ideas. I don't know what he means by that. But when you said Tucker, I was like, that fits. That fits that strategy. That fits getting crushed in the midterms. And you know what? In my opinion, at this point, I really hope he gets impeached. I hope they all get impeached.
I totally agree. I agree.
I'm like, I swear,
I hope they're fucking swinging from a tree.
Yeah,
that's
like,
what I hope.
Dude.
No,
I'm like,
seriously, yeah.
Like I'm not gonna vote for like a Democrat, like any Democrat that hates Trump. You get my vote now, because I'm just like, I am so disgusted with this war.
Oh, dude, yeah.
But like so I'm getting crushed in the midterms, and then a dark horse like a Tucker. Like when you said Tucker, I was like, oh, that would work. He's already got all the name recognition. Everyone knows who Tucker is. He's got the millions. He's got his own gigantic base. I mean, he's probably the Republican's going to get the Republican vote no matter what, right? You're going to get the normie conservative, pretty much whomever they run. They're never going to vote Democrat. They're going to cross party lines. So it's like, wow, that could actually work. That could be a real solution.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably. I mean, who else? Like at this point, like I don't think there's anybody we could say at this point who would be able to win.
I can't think of a single name that isn't directly associated with this administration. Thomas Massie is the only one that comes to mind. I don't think he could win.
He doesn't have like the momentum. He did really good with the Epstein files, and that is, it's good for him. What he's doing is good, but he's never going to go further than that. Like you're never going to see someone like him become president.
You see this often with libertarian-minded people. He's like essentially just a conscientious objector, and there is a utility in that, like in terms of swaying the conversation or doing something like what he did with the Epstein files, where you bring something to the forth, even if you don't have institutional power. But the uncomfortable reality, and this pervades most people on the right wing, not just libertarians, is this allergy to power. And they think that it's almost it's like unstatesmanlike to use power, like that the point of them being in office is this decency style. I talk about this quite extensively, but this decency style of conservatism, what that really is, at least what I can identify it as, is it's cowardice disguised as decency. So whether their cowardice is about taking power, using power, or even just having some type of contentious fight, because there's not a lot of people that are dispositionally aggressive or combative. Like some people like, even if it's verbal, some people like combat, some people don't. And that's not something that you can really ingrain into someone, even if they're in their 50s. And a lot of those people kind of have that same trait. Nigel Farage, I think, is that way too, where if you really push him on something that he has a deep reverence for, he might kind of have that more pit bull attitude, but only in very short doses. Yeah. But you even saw Nigel when I did my video on Rupert. I hadn't even seen the clip of Nigel actually talking about Restore and denouncing Restore as it's not decent. Yeah. And it's like, that is the most BS cover for ineffectual weakness. It's just such nonsense. And I guess to actually make a point out of it, I think Massie has that. Massie has that mindset of like, I think he's just afraid, honestly. But either way, his point is like, we're degrading the office of the presidency. We're degrading the Congress. Like, shut the fuck up, dude. Like the answer here is take power. I really don't care by what means. And if you're not going to do that, we will find someone who will. And that will be our guy. So, and you also have to roll the dice at this point. This is the last thing I'll say on the matter. Okay. You have to roll the dice on it too. And this is just the reality of it, because so many people will say, well, if you do something like that, if you pack the court, whatever, and it goes wrong and, a despot comes in or a tyrant, it's like, yeah, well, guess what? That's the fucking game. What if you're driving on the highway and you get in a car accident? Well, I still want to get where I'm going. So
that's pretty based. The question, though, I have, and it's more just like a philosophical question about the Libertarians, because we talked about this the last time you were on. I think, like, at least I believe what they would argue, I'm trying to give it the best representation, is that we would go back to a time, obviously a bit of a fantasy here, but there was a time where the federal bureaucracy was not gigantic, and it didn't have this huge GDP, this huge cost. It didn't cost as much as it does, and so I think that they would argue we want to get back to that. Is that realistic, or was there like a power vacuum, or was there a power holder there that we just didn't see at the time, or like what would you push back on that? Because I think you're onto something, but I'm just kind of curious to like dismantle their argument.
Well, okay, so I guess I probably haven't thought about this to the depth that I would need to, but I would look at something like the administrative state. That's what you're kind of referring to, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I would look at the administrative state and subsequently the managerial revolution as some type of civilizational invention. And what I mean by that is, think about like how a car revolutionized everything that we do. Travel, ability to see, people that live far away. And Ted Kaczynski talks about this in his manifesto, where it's like, once these inventions come into play, there's basically nothing stopping it from pervading into the general culture as a whole, even if the imposition of it isn't direct. So I can't remember what point he made, but similarly, like think about like a cell phone, right? Like when I was a kid,
right,
it was still a flip phone. And then, when I got to like high school, it became a smartphone. But now you're like required to have a smartphone in school. Like you do like high school, like through your smartphone. And so you can opt out of things to a degree. You can keep riding your horse, but once they start paving roads around you, you've actually become restricted. Now, think about the administrative state in the same way. The administrative state exists whether we like it or not, and it's not going anywhere because the potency of it and how it interacts with our daily lives to the degree it does, and I hate it, by the way, obviously.
Sure.
It's like a car, and now all the roads have been put in place. Like, you're not just going to rip out all the asphalt millings and all of a sudden go back to horse-drawn carriages. Now, so given that we know that, my perspective is, okay, now we have to find a way to either augment it to a level that we can tolerate or build something around it that's better. And, think about like technology. People, and I agree with Kaczynski's main point in his manifesto, which is like the net effect of technology is obviously negative. And in terms of how it affects like the human condition, I agree with the administrative state. But if we're not going to be able to get around it, we have to just come up with something that makes it tolerable. That's my approach. I don't think it's practical or effective to argue about ways to get back to the past. It's too powerful of a force.
Yeah, it does seem a bit wishful thinking. Like I think I said it to you, but to me, it feels just as delusional as like a socialist utopia. It's like the amount of machinations, like the amount of work you have to do to get there is just not realistic.
Well, you could maybe do it with like a supreme leader, which I don't think would be good, but that would be what it would take.
But that would shatter our entire style of government.
Totally, right?
So,
totally, yeah.
What's your take there, Tom?
No, I mean, he's 100% correct. And with the way it's set up now, is it's gonna be just wielded one way or another. So it's like if the game you have to play at this point is you have to seize the power and you have to use it for yourself and for your own. Because when you don't, it gets used against you, and that's why we have the problems that we do today.
Well,
it seems like an unrealistic like faith in the fact, like it doesn't seem to understand the situation accurately. Like I was Central Dildo recommended I read the book by Academic Agent, the Delusion of Populism, and it's a fascinating book, and it basically explains how a lot of like the power structure just sort of exists, whether you observe it or you respect it or not. It's there, and he gave an example of like European or English kings back in the Middle Ages, like taking away power from the church and taking money from them. But then what ended up happening was it created this class of like wealthy, like aristocrat, like business owners. So the power is still there. It just shifts. Yes. Now it's in different hands.
Yes.
I think that's like the more realistic view of it. But yeah. Nerdporial just sent a $10 super chat. Fucking A. Thanks, brother. How's it going, man?
For Brian.
He says, sup, Matt? See, you got a legend here, and Tom, too. Haha, cheers, gentlemen. New RE game has taken its hold on me, by the way. Let's hope Iran doesn't become the Iraq or Afghanistan. Thank you very much for the super chat. And on that, we will pivot to the Iran war situation, because I really want to hear what you guys have to say about this whole thing. So, you know, whatever you got, you guys just go nuts. I'm here. I'm in the audience for this.
Tom,
one.
you go first.
All right. Well, so with Iran, like at this point, with like all the things that are happening there, with like the strikes, and I mean, like when it first started, I had like the idea that it was gonna be like a total like victory for Israel at this point, but with the way it's kind of going, is I'm not too sure. Like everybody's saying it's just going to keep escalating to like boots on the ground. Nick was talking about nukes being used. I know this morning they announced and they said they're sending like the B-52 Doom bombers or whatever over there and like all this shit. And so I don't know what the fuck's going on. Trump's going on to like different news stations and giving two completely different answers to like what's happening.
The whole regime is doing that.
Yeah,
everyone's got a different story.
Dude, people are saying like they have no plan, or that their backup plan was always this or whatever. Like when it comes to Iran, I'm like a chicken with no head, dude. I'm literally like, I don't know what to fucking believe or to think where this is gonna go. I know there's an issue with like the economy and with like oil. And other countries are getting pretty, they're getting hit pretty hard, like Japan and like a few others. And then we're getting fucked with like gas and energy here. I don't know about you guys, but gas went up like $1 for me personally, like within like 2-3 days.
I saw it here in Austin. I saw it like yesterday. I was like, holy shit. Well, that was fast. Okay, here we go. Yeah. I mean, if there's one way to piss off the American public, it's to get gas prices to go up.
Yeah, because we got to drive everywhere. But I mean, to be honest, like with Iran, I think for them personally, they're crippled. I don't think they're ever going to be able to build into a position to where they're going to, completely become like a superpower in the Middle East. I think they're on a pathway to lose eventually. I don't think it's going to happen this year unless like America does something super extreme. But I think eventually within the next like decade or so, if it's like a long game, or if like America pulls out and then it's just Iran attacking and doing like stuff here and there. But for them, it's a religious war now. They're doing the jihad shit. So now they don't want it to stop, and they don't want to surrender. And so I honestly, like, I don't know where it's going to escalate to.
I think that's a fair assessment, though, honestly. I think admitting that we don't know is a really accurate way to look at it, because we just don't. I mean, if I've been listening to a lot of coverage about this, and that our interceptor missiles, this sort of choke point in this whole war, is becoming such a gigantic issue. We're pulling them out of was it South Korea that was supposed to be there to deal with China. Now we moved them to protect Israel. We pulled some from the UAE to protect Israel, and we are using like 4, 5, sometimes 10 for a single ballistic missile, and those things are cheap compared to the missiles that we have to make, and it's becoming a huge issue. We're just depleting these stockpiles, and it's like we're definitely not accomplishing the goals in the manner that the administration hoped was going to happen.
Well,
so
we're accomplishing somebody's goals.
Yeah.
So Joey, just like give me your take on this whole thing, because it's terrifying to me.
I really like don't think that I am equipped nor even researched really to talk about like the ramifications of the war or the effects geopolitically of something like this. I mean, I'm hardly qualified to even discuss the economics of it, but if at all. But what I always kind of go back to, and I try and do this fairly frequently in my videos, think about like the one on Minneapolis. It's like you can quibble about whether that shot was justified, whatever. But the point is this is a matter of sovereignty, just like Minneapolis was a matter of sovereignty. Do we have the unencumbered authority to actually do what's in the interest of America? And if not, what are the implications of that? And that's what's actually scary. It's the fact that it's one thing to biff on a campaign promise and to fail, securing the vote for a bill that you wanted to do some marginal action for. It's a whole nother to run on an anti-war platform, on an isolationist, on a peace president type administration, and to go to war on behalf of another country. And so whatever this devolves into, which this is obvious. I mean, Tom, your point that the Muslims believe it's a holy war now, I'm sure that's true, but this has always been a holy war from the point of Israel. And you know what I've been thinking about recently? I think the biggest lie that they've sold, bigger even than the Holly, is the fact that the Israelis are secular. They're not.
Yeah.
They're not at all. And anyone that's fucking saying that, okay, again, like they might be saying that with their words. What do their actions say?
Yeah.
Their actions say that this is entirely religious. And if it's entirely religious, and if you've parasitized the most powerful country in the world, I don't even know if we can even claim that status anymore, but let's say you can, and you're making the calls there, that inherently implies that we as American citizens are now at the whim of this country. And that's what's scary to me. It's not a matter of if tactical nukes are going to get used, which obviously that's a concern. But my point is like what everybody needs to be focused on is getting America to a position where we can actually exercise our own sovereignty, because until that happens, we're not fixing the problem.
Yeah. No, I mean, I literally had this feeling last night. I was watching all this coverage, and I was like, I genuinely cannot believe that we're here.
Oh yeah, literally cannot believe it. Yeah,
like I knew it was being flirted with, and I thought we'd continue to strike them. But the fact that we're really leaning on the precipice of all-out war with this country, completely of choice, not even a good propaganda campaign building up to it,
an insulting propaganda campaign.
Yeah. And an insulting lack of one too. Like just
that's what I'm saying. They don't even care.
They don't care.
Yeah, we're doing it.
It's nuts, and it's like I'm seeing a different perspective, Tom. I'm seeing the resolve of the Iranians really like doubling down. I don't see them being like afraid. Like obviously they don't want this to happen, but as I understand it, that entire country's infrastructure, or at least its military infrastructure, much of it's underground. They haven't even used the hypersonic missiles yet. Those haven't even come out. So like they still have this real strong weapon of war that they can implement whenever they feel like it. They have the capability to keep making the ballistic missiles, to keep making the drones, and it seems like this war is not going to end for a long time. And I look at it almost like this could truly be the end of the American empire if this continues to go in this direction with boots on the ground, because we're not even handling the more idealistic version of this. But if we spill this out into a truly like an Iraq-like war, which will be way worse, way more costly, and way more devastating to the future of this nation, I'm floored by this reality.
I mean, if you think about it, like what we kind of like all agree on, it's like the only reason this is happening to begin with is because of Israel. The whole plan for Israel is not to achieve these goals with America still being an empire. The whole goal is for them to become an empire while we get completely destroyed from the inside out, which is what is happening. They're going to use us till like we have nothing. Yeah. Like they're going to use us till the last fucking drop. And so with Iran, like when I say I think like it's kind of over for them, I don't think it's over in the sense that they're not going to fight back, or it's over in the sense that they're not going to be able to last for, a while. I'm just saying they're on a pathway at this point to where eventually, whether it's this year, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, Israel's going to destroy them. And the reason being is because now for them, it is a jihad. It is a holy war. And like you said, it's always been a holy war. But for them at this point, this is like overdrive. Like they have to fight. They're going to continue to fight. And every single time they escalate, America is going to have to be forced to escalate, because that's what Israel is going to want them to do.
Right.
And then eventually it's going to get worse, because, a lot of people are talking about how they might send in like special forces, because the reason why like a lot of these missile like silos and all these places, they're in the mountains. And so with boots on the ground, it could be a full-fledged war, or it could be just special, forces and all these different groups. And I'm just saying, like, at this point in time, if you want to look at biblical prophecy, if you want to look at like whatever, Israel is the only one that's essentially going to gain anything from this. We're not going to gain anything from this. Iran is eventually just going to, collapse, because they're fixing to have infighting in their country with the different groups. They're trying to weaponize like different races over there. You also have different religions over there, because it's not all Muslims. They have a big Christian population. And now the Muslims in Iran are, doing jihad, and a part of that is against Christians. So they're going to start fighting each other, and it's going to keep escalating. And I don't think America comes out on top with all of it.
Well, I mean, the lines have been drawn between who this is going to be against, and I just don't see how this doesn't escalate into World War III. I mean, I think we've been on this track for, if you want to really like identify the cracks, probably like back to 2014. This has been ramping up toward being a East versus West conflict.
Are you saying because of the Iranian, like the presidency that we overthrew?
No, I would say, and then Crimea, with Russia. But and the reason I say this is because it's going to be East versus West, and I would say East being China, Russia, Iran, and there's nothing. I mean, to your point, Tom, it's like America won't get anything out of this, but it's like so much worse than that, because we'll lose everything. It's not like it's not and this is what I think is very sinister about a lot of these types of political maneuvers that come out of Israel and by the diaspora. Is it's not a matter of, you just got used really quickly and, should have been more careful next time. It's like, we're gonna put a dog leash on you. We're gonna make you do our dirty work and attack this country that you really have no tangible beef with. And if any beef that you have with them is a result of your previous actions anyway, this could have the capacity to literally destroy, your country financially, whatever other implications. Oh, and then by the way, all those refugees, we're going to take all the military age men and flood your country with them.
Yep. They're going to have a pretty big chip on their shoulder.
It's this like unbelievable level of like boundless malice that is just hammered over and over again. Like you thought we were going to let you do one little thing. No, actually, we're going to deplete you of all your shit, and then we're going to make it 10 times worse for you. Just that left hand and the right hand, they're able to just work, which, what that displays is just a true hatred for white Christians. Really, there's no other conclusion to draw. I mean, really.
Well, it's funny, like, because we were talking about William earlier, but he actually talked about that very thing in his Chabad video about the that's especially that sect of Jews, but just you could see the kind of more aggressively anti-West Jews they do see Western civilization as an extension of Rome, and so they still got a beef, and it's
so
do
we. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We do, but not as tangibly, right? I think you ask most normal people, what does the West, what does Europe and the United States, what most in history, what do we really represent? I think you'd get a myriad of answers. I think you'd get like, oh, maybe Greece, maybe Rome, they'd be like feudal Europe. I don't think they'd all be like, oh yeah, this is Rome. Right. Like it's
true,
not like that widespread, but in that perspective, from their perspective, it's Rome. Like that's what we're up against. And it's like, it's a crazy revelation to realize that one of your biggest enemies has just been sitting right here the whole time. You know what I mean? Like just acting like your friend, and it's they just have it out for us, and it's like it's shocking. It's really one of these.
It's
things
hard to come to terms. It really is kind of hard to come to terms with.
Yeah,
and this is why I get Tucker's slow roll, assuming that's his plan, because. Not only is it, I think, just inherently uncomfortable for I would say good people, but it also is totally oppositional to everything that we've been told for our whole lives. So unless you've done the work to try and break out of the kind of liberal illusion matrix, it sounds totally nonsensical. And
it's still hard for me to even face it. It's still tough. Honestly, like even to talk about it now, it's just like there's just something in me about treating individuals with individual respect that just makes it fights me.
Well, and that's
the reality.
That's what the kind of, I mean, it's kind of a sad conclusion, but because I was just in Japan, and this is my second time I've been to Japan, and I loved it, and I love it. It's amazing, but I felt like I did not belong there in a good way, as in I respect these people so much. I respect their culture. Like I would feel too much guilt coming here and ruining the sanctity of their culture, because I'm not one of them, and I don't pretend to be. And I think, you can reasonably have that for other cultures in a healthy way. But what we're discovering here is that you can't mix them like this.
No,
it just doesn't work.
No.
And it's like, again, that to your point, like it is uncomfortable coming to that realization. But what is also very important to understand, especially about this faction of the right, is we're not happy about that conclusion.
No,
it's unfortunate, but
I think
it does seem to be true.
I think, it definitely en masse. I feel like it just has to be precise, because it's like, I grew up not particularly multicultural, but I grew up with Asian dudes, Indian dudes, black dudes and stuff. And it's like, when it's an isolated population, they just feel like dudes. When it's not a cultural enclave, when there's a pressure to assimilate and the natural culture just sort of takes form, then I think it's
there may be a number to it, right? It might
literally
be under 8%, and I think everybody, even on the dissident right, I certainly myself would say that's totally fine.
Yeah, And I think
But
that had been fine for quite a
yeah,
while.
which in America is basically
shifts.
90% white from its inception up to the 1950s.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I mean, very few people are even trying to have that conversation of like, well, why don't we just maintain a continual cap? But the problem is, this is the problem with, I think, the liberal perspective, is that fundamentally undermines, their perception of kind of the blank slate. And so
I was thinking about that very thing, man, because it was like I started to like come to grips with what is my political outlook, and it's like, well, I guess, in a lot of ways I am like a white nationalist. Like I do think that like white Europeans have a particular privilege to this country.
Totally,
it is ours, and nationalist in the sense that like I believe in this country's national sovereignty, its identity, its prosperity. Those are the things I care about. Well, I came to that conclusion, right? And how long have they been getting after white nationalists? I mean, my entire life. It's
that's
like they were
the devil. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They were so ahead of that. Like they spotted that way down, well before I even came to these conclusions on my own, that would be a problem if we had a group of people, not white supremacists. It's different. It's not to say I'm better than you and therefore no one else should have rights. It's not what I'm saying at all. And so it's like having that kind of identity, that national and racial identity, and not as an affront to anyone else, just as an empowering point of view to myself. It's like, but they were way ahead of it, and I just found that was remarkable.
No, totally. Wow. I mean, that's been the whole game of their kind of propaganda for definitely since World War II.
Yeah.
But I mean, nobody would fault a parent for saying they love their biological child more than their son's classmate. It's like, what are you talking about? Obviously. But there's that like kinship, that the distinctions between proximity and like kinship. And there's no implication that there's like a hatred. Now, if you keep this shit up with how these cultures are being meshed in, that will come, and it's already here, and it's going to get way, way, way worse.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like that might be kind of part of the plan.
Yeah.
And that's the point that goes back to this like left hand, right hand thing, where they know that it's going to stir up the very thing it's the dialectic, right? That will give them the next, batch of propaganda to then advance their motives. And that's why the only way you can do anything in this realm is a complete divorcing.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It's like they got ahead of that so fast that by the time you even come to that conclusion, you're kind of like, oh, I find myself in verboten.
You're in the trap.
Yeah. It was basically like step 2 for their plan, was establishing that the melting pot theory, like this idea that America's for everybody. But even a lot of like the immigrants that come here, if you were to talk to them and be like, hey, if we went to Mexico, if a bunch of white people moved to Mexico, how would you feel about that? And they would say no. It's like, I don't want you to be in Mexico when I go back home to visit my family. I just want you to be here, and I want all of my family to be here too. They don't want the same thing everywhere.
Yeah.
But I mean, like you said, that's part of the plan. It's like with the idea of like Israel, if you want to say like enacting World War III, kind of getting us into that position, it is to set up America to completely be destroyed.
Yeah.
And the only way America can be destroyed is from the inside, because America is a fortress geographically. So like, that's why we have the foreigners. That's why we have the immigrants. You talk about the migrants, we're going to get more of them. And guess what? When the empire starts collapsing, when everything starts going to shit, that's when you do get racists, and you do get race war, and you do get all these other things, because people are just fucking going crazy. I mean, people went crazy over toilet paper, dude, for fucking COVID. It's and I mean, I don't even think that's the only, play. I think there's multiple, kind of setups to destroy our nation, and that's definitely one of them. For sure.
No, totally. That's absolutely the plan.
Can I ask you guys, can we white pill for a little while? Can we
yes.
Like and I just mean like optimistically, like what are ways out of this? Like how like functionally, like what can we do, or what's a potential future that's positive, or hopeful, or at least something we can work towards because I feel like the conversation now is as what's the word, like conscious, politically conscious as it has ever been in my lifetime, and I think it's widespread. People's tolerance of Israel, I think, is almost completely gone. Like on the mass, there's a lot of like the hardliner evangelicals, stuff like that. They're going to be there for a while, but the youth, so it's pretty much over.
I think
so
your standard. Well, it's a good question, but I do think your standard Democrat, like under 40, not the like leftist, I think they're still probably pretty pro-Israel.
I don't know, man, because I think when you see what they were doing to, like, what's like kind of a common feature of Democrat, right? It's like empathy.
Yeah.
Right. That's the thing. And I think when they see what happened with Palestine and Gaza, I feel like a lot of that empathy it went towards the brown kids.
Perhaps, but what I would actually I would think the leftist it's fake empathy, right? But like, let's just pretend that applies there. But I would say that what's more indicative of kind of your standard Democrat is just deference to establishment. And I would say Israel is just the establishment of the U.S. I mean, it's the resurrection of our second founding mythology of World War II. That like literally burned alive and then rise from the ashes like a phoenix to create the Israeli state. Like to that's so inextricable from the modern America that I don't even think they're getting challenged when they see stuff like the Gaza stuff. I think they just go, well, I mean, they're our greatest ally. I mean, I think they're as mindless about it as, maybe I'm wrong. That just, and I don't talk to any Democrats these days, but
I know the only ones I talk to are like my parents. They're like boomer Democrats. Like union type Democrats. Yeah. But I talk to them, and they're both kind of off the Israel train. They're both just kind of like, Jesus.
That's surprising.
Like,
maybe
I know, me too. I was surprised by that as well. Like, it's just like, geez, kind of a lot with the bombs, So I don't know what they feel about this war in particular. I haven't really got into it with them about it, but I can't imagine it's good, right? I mean, what's one of the fundamental characteristics of a boomer is kind of like even though they did a terrible job of it, but it's like the anti-war, right? They're characterized very much by the Vietnam War. And so now here we are, we just ended the last two, and like to what effect? And so now we're about to start a new one. I don't know. I can't imagine seeing like the establishment Democrats being too positive about this.
I'd be happy to be wrong. That was just my interpretation. But I guess to get to your point about like what is the current white pill, I think I'm
at a loss.
I do think young men as a whole are so much more based than even probably the speculative numbers say.
Yeah.
Almost every dude I talk to is pretty
autistically based, dude. Yeah. It's crazy. Even like younger, like really young kids. Like there's like I have friends, they still have like brothers and stuff that are in high school, and you talk to them and they're pretty on it, man. Because that's like what's cool right now, and there is power in that. Being cool, dude, is like that's how you
really change the conversation.
That's
not Turning Point USA rallies. It's like quarterback on the football team watching Fuentes.
That is it. And I mean, not to be like one of those like crazy, online autistic people, but that is what a certain Austrian painter did as well. I don't know if you guys know too much about that, but he did focus heavy on the youth. And it gave him
everybody does. Yeah.
A lot of
that is the mechanism. I mean, even if you look at in the 1960s, like, people have a lot of debates over what truly inspired that. And it doesn't even really matter to me because the effect was the same and the mechanism was a capturing of the youth. Doesn't matter if whoever was a plant or whoever's dad, did Gulf of Tonkin. It's like, the point is that if you were to do that organically and you were to mount that position, which I think like Fuentes honestly has in a lot of ways, we know that is the equation to get there. Now we're just our challenge is how do you get to that position organically without getting cut down or without getting supplanted by somebody that is furthering another means. But the reality is that support and that backing does have to come from the youth, whether they know the origins of that influence or not. Do you get what I'm saying? Like that is the way to do it. So we know that it works. We just, the question is how do you seize that?
How
mantle?
do you do it? Yeah, I like Fuentes's plan of the hide your power level and infiltrate the institutions. I think that
I disagree.
is the most effective. Really, because it's the only one that makes any sense. Because I feel like when you start, like I don't feel like you're going to be able to get a candidate in. Like I don't think Fishback is ever going to really ever get elected.
Okay,
I think he'll be an effective voice in the conversation, but to actually get, that's what I mean. It's like they try it with based media and it's fucking gay.
Well, okay,
Yeah.
so okay, I agree. Actually, I don't disagree with the concept entirely. What I disagree with is that should be the broad approach, because I think we also have to reframe our entire perspective on this and anything hierarchical in general as like, we don't want everybody wanting to be the CEO. We don't want everybody in the movement wanting to be one of the spokesmen or leaders. And so if you're more of an ancillary, follower, and I don't mean that derogatorily, then yes, definitely hide your power level. But if you want to be a leader, if you want to be someone that's positioned effectively in it, then no. Do you know what I mean? Don't. Now, the real distinction comes for a man between the ages of like 21 and probably like 26, 27, where you haven't accrued necessarily the resume yet and credentials to actually have like objective power and authority. But once you do, then I think, no, you do not hide your power levels, because in that instance, there has to be a mechanism of you seizing some type of power, whatever that is, whether you're the CEO or something, because it's like, let's just say, this is a bad example. Let's just say you hid your power level and became the CEO of Apple. And then you're 55 or 60 years old and you come out super based, immediately fired the next day.
Yeah. That's
but like, but like also to say that you would then make moves on the interior that like marginally push toward, like, that's not incremental change is not going to be the mechanism that creates any type of change that we want to see. If anything is going to happen, it's going to be with a swift execution of authority in whatever regard. It's not going to be this like slow shift towards like white nationalism.
I mean,
it's not going to happen.
Like it's like both of those things are true. Like the only like true fix to all this is going to be a radical change, but also at the same time, like completely abandoning certain institutions, not even just political, just like universities, art, film, like all these different, avenues, which like, how did these institutions get subverted to begin with?
Well,
with communism, it was with people being secretive. That's
okay. Agreed.
And that's the thing is like, you can still build new institutions. You can still have leaders that, from the get-go, they just hold their nuts, man, and they don't give a fuck. And that's great. But like, there is something to be said that the long game should also be played as well.
By certain players, it should be played, but not everyone. And I think I talked to one of you guys about this, where the right wing is very disadvantaged because at our core, we don't have this like utopian spirit that drives us like the left does. So the left would be happy to be an undercover communist for 50 years and serve like no real actionable purpose, but like nobody on the right's going to do that. It's just that fuel isn't there. And so there isn't, again, like if there is going to be some type of disruptive change, it's going to have to come from like a Tucker-like figure or somebody who is exposed for what they think and they manage to secure power. I don't think a long march through the institutions is possible on the right. The only thing that could counter that, in my view, would be the building of new institutions, which sounds extremely monumental. And sort of is, but this is why like we need very powerful people, kind of like my quarterback analogy, right? Like I was really disappointed when Zach Bryan came out with that like cucked song about ICE. Because like if Zach Bryan had come out as like a hard right or whatever, that would have been huge.
Yeah.
Kind of like when Kanye came out, like even though it totally devolved into nothingness.
Yeah.
He was the type of person similar to like John Lennon back in the 70s. Like he had the capacity to enact change like Kanye did, and they changed the conversation. Obviously, Lennon to the left is just not ideal, but like Kanye to the right, we need people like that. And if someone in that position, and not like a Jordan Peterson Academy type thing, but somebody really did create some type of alternative to the university, to let's say Tucker creates an actual news site that isn't the TCN or the Daily Caller. It's like, and you get the best writers that go there, and like you take it over on merit, like that's a way. But I don't think there's a way to infiltrate the New York Times or to infiltrate Yale or Harvard unless you broadly sweep and take over the youth to the point, and the subsequent generations, like how Gary Bezmenov talked about, like the opposite, but we did it in the opposite direction. Yeah. And then it just becomes like a fish in water, right? And well, everyone there is by default, super based. It's like, okay, but I don't think there's a tactical play with the hiding your power level thing. Maybe. I hope so.
You bring up some good points, though, because it's like Trump, when he came on the scene, right, he changed the political conversation forever. And he did it en masse, and he did it aggressively. Right now, we're obviously seeing the results of that. But there were things that began to be talked about casually in the political conversation that really were almost taboo for a long time. And he brought all of that with him.
Totally.
And so, yeah, I mean, the people can be primed for an aggressive switch like that if it speaks to their interests, if it's articulate and they actually do get it.
But it's got to be deliberate also. I don't think Trump was deliberate. I think Trump was playing on instinct, and I think he was a really good natural political operator, but I don't think he was effective in a way that someone like Tucker would be.
Yeah, no, certainly. I mean, we can see the results of it, but I do think, like I said, just the impact was significant. All right, well, it's approaching 7:30 here, gentlemen. So why don't we wrap it up? Tom, did you have any final say on that particular subject before we wrap it up?
I mean, yeah, like the whole institution thing. It's like with building new institutions, that's the way it should go. That's something people on our side should have done decades ago, and they haven't. And I think it is possible, even with stuff like art, with like movies and music, and because those things are important. Like culture is important. If we don't have culture, and if we're not actively adding to that, then you lose like that whole avenue. You can gain the youth by pursuing those things because that's what the youth likes. They like music. They like stories.
Yeah.
And I think that people want something radical too at the same time. They don't want a traditional politician. They want somebody who is like Trump, but who actually follows through with what they say.
Yes.
I think that's what people are hungry for. But with like, the older institutions, I don't think you're going to convince somebody who's on our side, who's high IQ and who wants to become a lawyer and they want to go to Harvard or any of these Ivy League schools. I don't think you're going to convince that person who is in a position to go there that, hey, you should come to my university online somewhere. Like, I think if you want to, like, not everybody, because you're right, not everybody should, but it should be said that certain people, if they are able to infiltrate institutions, whether it be politics, art, law, what have you, it will be a benefit to us to have at least somebody there.
Totally.
And to not have anyone. Because it's going to be a fight either way. And with people like that, you're not going to convince them to not go. They're just going to go.
I agree with that.
You might, like, in my point of view is like, I would support them, but I think we need to have multiple strategies. I think we can't put all of our eggs in one basket.
Oh, I totally agree with that. Yeah.
That's a great point. Yeah, because it's like, right. Go to Harvard or was it Austin University or whatever? Like Barry Weiss's. It's like, okay,
they have a a bust of Barry Weiss there.
What the fuck?
That ethereal beauty, Barry Weiss.
Ugh.
All right. Well, Tom, hey, man, where can people check out your stuff?
Tom Foe on YouTube, Twitter. I'm the chicken.
He is the chicken, man.
I'm
and
the
you're
only
doing
one.
great stuff, dude. You're really, everyone check out Tom's video. I think it's the most recent one, right? It was about the like your experience in like I don't know if it's evangelical, but it was like a Zionist church.
Yeah, like I have a lot of experience with like those Judeo-Christian groups and Kufi
Yeah.
and all that. So
That was fascinating, dude. That was a really insightful perspective that I haven't heard. You know, I hear a lot of talk about it, but not someone who's like, I was there. This is what they believe. This is what they like. It's like, man, that was a really like the whole insight with your mother about like just the kind of the fear of death. I was like, damn, this is really like, this is like very inside the mind of a person like that. It was very fascinating. So great
I
work.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Absolutely. And Joey, now that you're Joey, now that you're not Right Wing Coalition, you're still Right Wing Coalition, but yeah, well, give the people some, you know.
Yep, got a YouTube channel, the Right Wing Coalition, and yeah, my name is Joey Oliver. I have a book coming out called American History Z: Gen Z's Journey to the Far Right,
which I am pumped to read, dude. That first chapter was so good.
You thought so? Oh, nice.
Oh my god, it was so. I was like, fuck, dude. I'm like, this kid's a leader. Like this, you're gonna be like a leader in this movement. Like it was so well written, it was so articulate, and it was like, oh man, like I was like primed to read the rest of it. You did so good.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I should be dropping 2 more video chapters, and then I'm gonna publish one of them in the Arctos Journal this week.
Oh, cool.
And then still waiting on the forward announcement, but that should be very soon here, and I think everyone's gonna be pretty happy. And
yeah, I'm pumped to hear that. Yeah.
Then that comes out March 26th. If it gets banned on Amazon, you're gonna have to get it right from the publisher, which it's looking like it's probably gonna get banned on Amazon. So we'll see. But that's about it.
Thank you so much for hanging out with me. This was great. Really cool conversation. You guys are doing fantastic stuff. If you guys have not checked out their stuff, please go do it. Do yourself a favor. If you're interested in like more of these conversations, these guys are some of the best doing it out there. So thank you very much for watching this episode of the Advocate for Podcast, and we'll see you here next week. All right, y'all have a good one.